What's up, everybody? It is the Best Spot Kids movement. I am back with a quick video. Today, I've been inspired to do this video, despite all the commotion going on. You know, I titled this video, "The Best Decision of This Generation." And for me, it's been getting an Xbox Series X and S. Specifically for me, the X, but I keep both consoles in the house, one for the kids, whatever. Now, there's a lot of reasons why, right? And I'm going to say this again for people in the comment section. Don't mind the pink chair. I got it from my wife. She didn't like it. She likes my chair better. I'm waiting for a new one to come through, right? But let's get back into the video. The Xbox Series X, man. And I've said this before multiple times. I think it's one of the best consoles ever created in terms of engineering. And Xbox makes it hard to, I guess, put a generation into a box because of its compatibility, its backwards compatibility. Like, I don't have the opportunity to miss or reminisce on, games from 2005, 2006 and stuff, because I have access to most of them, on my, series console. And, a lot of them play better. They're, at higher resolutions. They got HDR. Some of them have higher performance, on the Xbox console. So, but just to kind of give you guys my history, and my camera needs some work, but just my history on like console, gaming, prior to me adopting Xbox, I was, PS2, sometimes GameCube. I was either PlayStation or Nintendo. I had Super NES, Nintendo 64. Then I, got onto PlayStation during the PS2 era. Returned to Nintendo with the GameCube, and then, always had my eye on this thing called Xbox. And when it was time for the next generation of Xbox to come out in 2005, I got there day one with the Xbox 360. Remember, I worked a summer job, worked at GameStop part-time, saved up enough money to buy the $400, was it $300 or $400? It was the more expensive version of the Xbox 360, 20 gig, bought like 8 launch games, extra controller, etc., etc. Rest is history. Gears of War, Halo 3 changed my life. Perfect Dark Zero, cameo elements apart, all that stuff. Like, it's been, I remember still to this day sitting in like a live or something like that. I was talking to somebody over Xbox Live, and I was like, whatever Xbox does next generation, I am there. And that's what it's been. So fast forward, obviously Xbox One, I was there day one. I felt like the Xbox One first 3 years were impeccable in terms of games. I felt like they didn't get the credit they deserved because there were, people were still hating on them about 900p, 720p, and TV, even though they had the better games during the first 3 years of the Xbox One generation. Then they shook the power narrative with Xbox One X, which was a true worthy mid-gen refresh that was actually worth it, where we actually saw a legit difference between games, and it was like a big deal. Actually, that mid-gen was so great that it actually benefited the next generation of consoles, which was the Xbox Series X and S. So, case in point, bought the Xbox Series X, obviously day one. Say what you want about, launch games. Xbox didn't have, obviously, the games at launch, the unique experiences. PlayStation obviously had it. I had a PS5 day one as well. But what Xbox did have is that, they made some quality of life improvements. And then what they did was, they was like, all right, you know what? Since you're buying this console, we're going to respect your library. And so off the rip, all the games that I had were enhanced. A lot of them had received updates just in time for the consoles to launch to be, 4K 60, or and then they had this thing called, FPS boost and all this other stuff. Obviously, the games didn't really start coming into like the following 6 months to a year later. 2021 is where we started getting like, all right, some games. 2022 was 2023 and 2024, obviously. So I think Xbox really had like outside of launch, I don't really count launch because it comes out in November. One really, like, I would say poor year as far as software, and that was 2022. But 2023, 2021, 2024, I was pretty satisfied. 2025 is going to be a banger. But, a lot of people, for a while, Xbox was touted as not having any games. Like when Xbox didn't have the games, we had all the frames, we had the resolutions, we had the frames. We definitely had the frames because till this day, the Xbox Series X and S has more games running at 120 FPS than any other console. I'm not obviously talking PC, but any other console, and that's a fact. It is what it is. And the thing about Xbox is that have always been satisfied with the console, with the Xbox Series X and the Series S and the games and some of the things that it's been able to do, the way games run, just to have a consistent release of games that are just at 60 FPS or at 120 FPS. Sure, there's some oddities that launched at 30, but they were later patched or updated to have those performant modes. But the thing is, I always do also like to go back. I do like to go back and play like Xbox One generation games or Xbox 360 games, and just to go back and play them at a higher fidelity or at a higher performance, and some games that I purchased and dropped and then was able to come back and beat because they ran and looked better on my Xbox Series X. The dev didn't have to do anything, It's literally my favorite console, and that's why I never really get rid of my Xbox, because I don't go a stretch without playing my Xbox. So when I have a PlayStation, I go stretches without playing my PlayStation. I've sold like 2 PlayStation. I'm on my 3rd PlayStation sold. I've sold my launch PS5. I've sold my PS5 Pro, and it's not because I'm just saying. It's just that it's low usage. You know what I mean? Typically only get the exclusive, but the thing is, I don't like every PlayStation exclusive. So if they drop one. If they don't have a year where they're not dropping a bunch of like good games, and let's say the only game is like Astrobot or something like that, chances are I'm not utilizing the system like that. So the thing is, I've never been in a need where I feel like I need to sell my Xbox, and I'm not what you would say, I'm not, what's the word I'm looking for? Insecure about owning the Xbox or the Xbox library, because the thing is that even though I prefer console and this all this fear and concern about Xbox doom and gloom, they may get rid of the consoles and stuff like that, which I don't believe is going to happen. But the thing is, the way that Xbox works, and I think what people don't really appreciate, is that I'm in a situation with Xbox that even if I did get rid of my Xbox or decided not to, hey, I'm done with console gaming, I want to focus more on PC, a good 70%, no, that's not 70%. Maybe I'm gonna go to say a good 60% of my library it's already I have on PC for the simple fact of Play Anywhere or Game Pass. That is just, what Xbox does is it's easy to go from PC to Xbox back for it. There's a lot of things that's like just moving with you, whether it be cloud saves, achievements, games. It's just what it is via simple login. You know what I mean? That's why it's like it's hard. You can't just go from like, PlayStation to Xbox or, PlayStation to PC and stuff like that without having to do a lot of rebuying and shit like that. Xbox, I don't have to do that. So, but the thing is though, when I do want to push, if I have this situation where with Xbox, and if I feel like they drop a game that, for instance, when Redfall came out and it came out at fucking 30 FPS, it's like, all right, I'll just play it on PC then. When Starfield came out, even though I did the review access, so I did play at 30, which was a very optimized game. But when it launched after the review period, I jumped on it on PC, and then when the Xbox got its updates to run like 120 FPS and 60 FPS and all this other jazz, I jumped right back on Xbox. For example, when Avowed comes out, it's room right now. I don't want to say room. They have confirmed that it's 30 FPS. They haven't confirmed if it has a performance mode or not. So my plan for Avowed when it comes out, is one of my most anticipated games, is to play it on PC. And if Xbox has it has a 60 FPS mode, then I'm going to play it there. So the thing is, it's just the options. I have the flexibility to play it on PC and still get the Xbox experience. But as far as console, and you guys looked at my wrap up video, the time spent on it's like 60 it's literally like 80-20. 80% of the time is Xbox console, 20% of the time is Xbox on PC. Essentially, it really all depends on the game. But the thing is that that keeps me on consoles because of my libraries, because of the vast library, Game Pass, the convenience factor, and it's just an awesome ecosystem. So I've never regretted my purchase of Xbox Series X or S or whatnot. I think it's the best console, and this current console, 4-year-old console, is going toe to toe with an $800 mid-gen console right now on certain games. They literally have to test FPS and image quality difference with the $800 console that should be stomping the Series X out. But and the crazy thing is, I just got rid of the PS5 Pro because I can't really tell the difference between the original PlayStation 5. So I'm not going to sit here and lie to you and say Xbox didn't make any mistakes or you guys didn't hook up. But the thing is that they have an incredible console, and they have an incredible games. Now the situation with the games now is that people want to talk about like, they're no exclusive, they're going third party, all this other jazz. At the end of the day, if the only console I'm playing on is an Xbox, the fact is Xbox has games, and very good games. Like some of the best games, some of the most anticipated games literally are by Xbox first party team. You know what I mean? Granted, some of them they're putting on PlayStation, whether it be Doom Dark Ages or a late port of Indiana Jones, which is like game of the year, or whether it's but we still got Avowed and Fable and all that stuff. Whether they come up to PlayStation or not, these are some interesting looking games, bro. They are, and it's like I feel like Xbox had. I personally feel like Xbox had an awesome 2023 during a later half. 2024 turned out to be dope, considering Hellblade 2. Banger. Indiana Jones, absolutely a banger. Stalker 2 was on Game Pass. Call of Duty, obviously, is going to be one of the best-selling games of the year, and it was the best Call of Duty in a few years under Xbox, and I was able to get it on Game Pass. In 2025, they're already talking about like South of Midnight in the first 3 months, Avowed in February, Doom Dark Ages. There's Fable still on track for 2025. I feel like whatever Call of Duty drops, it's like, bro, the best time to be on Xbox is actually right now during the time where everybody left. It's like after every Xbox was buying like Bethesda and Activision, all these, fake Xbox fans, went over to PlayStation. Some, did all that premature switching and doing all the announcement. They got all the toxic fan base. And I think the people that are finding Xbox now are having a better experience. You know what I mean? And again, I don't hate the PlayStation console. I will always say PlayStation is a must-have in the house because they some way to find ways to finagle games only to its platform, and some of them are must play. So I always have a PlayStation in the house. I may not personally primary need one specifically for me because 4 years of this generation, they've already needed to come out with a mid-gen. They already scaled back on how many games they're producing on a first-party input. When people are used to getting maybe 3 or 4 games from them a year, they're really only putting out 1 to sometimes none. So the thing is that if you're only playing on PlayStation for exclusives, it becomes less and less of a requirement. And they're putting their games on PC as well. So from a console standpoint, I feel like the Xbox Series console, the Series X specifically, if you want more, power, is still a stellar console, stellar place to be. We always talk about the future. You know what I mean? I even remember when the Xbox 360 was in its prime. and we were predicting like, oh, the Xbox 720, what's the next Xbox going to be? It's just that there was no freaking really YouTube about to do that on. You know what I mean? There wasn't no Twitter to really go off on about to really share what we think or our hype when we had to read through magazines to see what rumors or what specs was going to be. But as far as like, you know, Xbox future and then them making consoles or PC third-party consoles using the Xbox OS and stuff like that, these are all things to be, you know, excited for because we want to see what happens. Because at the end of the day, right, personally, I like Xbox, right? But I don't think... see, the thing is, I like the brand of Xbox, I like the platform, I like the ecosystem, but I'm not married to Microsoft. So if Microsoft decides to let Samsung, Lenovo, or Asus, my favorite PC manufacturer, Asus, make an Xbox that runs Xbox, I'm gonna be kind of hyped because Asus does over-the-top stuff with technology. So it's like, yeah, if they decide to make an Xbox, I'd probably buy it. I would more than likely buy it. You know what I mean? So those are the intriguing stuff. I'm not, that doesn't mean any of us is abandoning, you know, Xbox. I'm not abandoning Xbox. Like I said, the thing is that if Xbox was to go like anywhere, like, and it ceased to exist, I would either go to the PC gaming or I stop gaming personally at all in terms of like that, because I'm already, it's the thing is, you create a profile, your digital library, it's years and stuff on that. That's why I don't just turn my Xbox on and play the newest game that came out. You know, I play my library. I always revisit old things. And sometimes, unless I 100% complete like a game and there's nothing to replay it for, then I don't go back to it. But I tend to revisit games, especially if I didn't complete them and whatnot. But yeah, no, you know, 4 years into this generation, and then even though, like I said, Microsoft made a lot of mistakes, but they did a lot of good and they set themselves up well. At the end of the day, personally, Game Pass, like I said, is one hell of a gaming subscription. Xbox Series X is one hell of a console, you know, and I have the option to go even bigger if on PC and just imitate the Xbox experience there. But the thing is, though, we're finally at a point where Xbox has bangers and they're dropping bangers consistently. Like, it's a weird time for gaming, right? Xbox is dropping bangers consistently. And you know, on PlayStation, they're not dropping as consistently. They're still going to have bangers. Don't get me wrong. They got some talented dudes and developers over there. They still drop bangers, but they're not dropping as consistently, to the point where they're dropping so inconsistently that if one of their games, you know, flops, it's a bad year overall because there's no other game. You know what I mean? PlayStation in 2024 was literally carried by a bunch of third parties in Final Fantasy. Astrobot came through, one game of the year. Shout out to them for that. I think the year before that, there was only Spider-Man and a bunch of Square Enix games. You know what I mean? I don't know what was I think their last big year with like consistent releases was probably 2022, because I think they had two bangers in 22. I think it was, what year did Ragnarok come out? Was that 22 or 21? I think Ragnarok and Forbidden West came out the same year. That year, I think, was the last year they had like consistent things. Every year since then, they've been trying to give us remasters of games they released like a couple years ago. So, but on Xbox, you know, there's been no games, and you know, people just have to appreciate it. And like, again, go like just around the corner, you know, next year, next few months, we got Avowed, which I think is going to be a banger. South of Midnight looks awesome. There's a lot coming for Xbox, and obviously with this year they had I forget, I didn't even play the new flight simulator. They had Age of Mythology, which was a nominee at the Game Awards. They have obviously Indiana Jones. They have obviously Call of Duty. They have obviously Hellblade 2, which came out. There was a lot going on this year, and again, Xbox, so everybody, the thing is, because Xbox isn't selling the most, they don't sell the most, they're not beating PlayStation on the NPD. You know, it's not as popular as PlayStation in terms of hardware. It's hard to track their game sales because they have Game Pass. Games launched directly into a game subscription service where you're not actually buying units. You're, you know, paying monthly for a subscription and you're accessing the games that way. there's this perception that, they're failing or they're bad. But the thing is, when you look at the MPDs, when you look at the charts, when you look at all the best-selling games, when you're looking at the games that are being nominated, that are being rewarded, these are games literally being produced by Microsoft in some shape or form, or Xbox Game Studios, or Activision, Blizzard, Bethesda. One of them, they've had, I feel like, as far as from production, a good year, and next year is going to be only better. So yeah, I'm extremely happy that I bought the Xbox Series X and that I remained with Xbox throughout this generation, because I've only been benefiting it. Whether or not they push games on PlayStation or not, I've only been benefiting. My old games been benefiting. We benefited with FPS boost. We benefited with resolution boost. We've benefited with quick resume. We benefited with just getting access to like games in general. And now some of the best games that are coming out are provided by Xbox in their launch and day and date on Xbox Game Pass. And I have the freedom and flexibility to experience that on my Xbox Series X, my PC. If I wanted to pick up a Lenovo Go or a Rogue Ally, I can experience there. But right now I'm fine with my Xbox Series X and I'm fine with my PC. But yeah, the best decision this generation was getting the Xbox Series X. And if you're a little hard on cash, the Xbox Series S. That's my video, guys. See you guys next year. As always, Xbox is the best box. I am the best bot. Good night or good morning if you're on the other side of the globe. I'm out of here. Peace.